Hi everybody and welcome back to day 18 of Vlogmas. My name's Annette and this is Cottoverdi. Can you believe it's day 18 already? In a week it's going to be Christmas. That's so exciting, but also it'll be sad to stop doing Vlogmas. I've really enjoyed it. Anyway, today I thought I'd bring you outside. It's not raining again, which is fantastic. And I am going to be planting a delivery that I had last week of some bare root Tricyrtis, which are toad lilies, or some people call them orchid lilies. And that's because they look sort of a cross between orchids and maybe lilies, and hence the name. But their Latin name is, or their botanical name is Tricyrtis, which is quite difficult to pronounce. Now I'm planting two different kinds today. Here in these beds along this wall, I'm going to be planting Tricyrtis hirta, and in another bed I'm going to be planting Tricyrtis latifolia. So I'm going to explain a little bit about Tricyrtis, the plant themselves, and then I'll just show you how I plant them. The reason that toad lilies are such fantastic plants is because they can grow in sun or shade or semi-shade, but what they do need is consistently moist soil, so they won't cope very well if they're planted somewhere that's really dry, which is why up against this north facing wall here is going to be perfect for them. It's always damp. The rain drains off into this bed actually from the lane, so we're actually outside our property here, and this is the wall to an old coach house that used to be here, and in some of the areas you can see where windows have been infilled, but this is a very old wall, and down in between all of these support posts we have beds up against the lane, and I've planted ferns and lots of snowdrops and some vinca minor, so the smaller flowered vinca, and what else have I planted? I'll have to look up what else I planted here. But we have a lovely display of snowdrops, but I also want some other flowers, and these toad lilies will flower between August and October or November, and they will keep flowering. But the best thing about them is that the greenery, the foliage, comes up in spring, so we have lovely foliage all through the year, and then just when things might be petering out a little bit, the flowers spring into life. So I'm super excited about that, and I think it'd be really nice to have spring flowers here from my snowdrops, and then obviously the vinca flowers throughout the summer. In fact, some of it's still flowering now, and then I'm going to have the toad lilies flowering towards the end of the season. The other thing I am going to pop into one of these bays here is the fern that I picked up the other week when we bought our Christmas tree. If you watch that video, then you'll see that I bought a really cute fern, and it's a hardy fern, so I'm going to pop that. It's really tiny, but it will grow like the others have. I'm going to pop that into one of the corners because some of the corners are a bit bare. So as I said, one of the things that toad lilies require is consistently moist soil, soil that doesn't dry out at all. But the other thing to bear in mind is that during the winter months, if it gets at all frosty or icy, they need some protection, and the best way to do that is to mulch them. So I'm going to plant them today, and then we'll definitely mulch them probably this weekend when I can get a sack out here, because it's quite far from where I am at the moment. We'll put some mulch down, but actually there are a lot of leaves that fall into these bays anyway, so they should be fairly well protected. And because we have a lot of leaves falling into these bays, the soil is super rich. It's like woodland soil, because we have trees that overhang the lane here. And actually that's where toad lilies grow best. They like to grow in forests or on the edge of forests. They come from Asia, mostly Japan and China, and they do prefer that sort of humus rich soil. They will grow pretty much anywhere, and as I said, they will grow in the sun as long as your soil is reliably moist. Tricyrtis hirta, which is just one type of many toad lilies that you can find, has this striking white flower with purple dots in it. They're quite small purple dots. It's going to grow probably about 60 centimetres high, so 2 foot high by 40 centimetres wide, I guess 1 to 2 foot wide. But the flowers are borne on these long arching stems above the foliage, and sometimes, you know, down the foliage. So some of the spots on the foliage, sometimes flowers can grow up along these arching stems on the Tricyrtis hirta. And I think The pictures that I've seen, it just looks absolutely stunning. This is the first time I've planted them, but I do believe they're going to do really well in these beds. Tricyrtis, or toad lilies, also make exceptionally good cut flowers. The reason I've chosen to plant the Tricyrtis hirta here is because it's got these lovely white flowers, and I think they'll show up really well against the wall, but also because I think the purple dots on the flowers will tie in really nicely with the vinca that I've got planted beneath it. A lot of my snowdrops are coming up already, so you can see them here. So when I'm choosing spots to plant the Tricyrtis or toad lilies, I'm going to be really careful to avoid any areas where I can see the snowdrops popping up. So this is what the bare roots look like. They're just little roots. I guess they're, you know, compared to my hand, they're sort of this size. You can probably get them different sizes. And then I can clearly see that this is the shoot here. So I've got another shoot here. So I will plant them with obviously shoot facing upwards, and I'm going to plant them about 2 inches below. So this shoot will be about 2 inches below the surface of the soil. And I won't have to dig the hole very deep because they can just be planted quite shallowly. They're not particularly deep roots. The other thing to bear in mind is that when the bare roots come, they might be quite dry. So if they look at all shriveled or dry, it's really important to soak them in some water for an hour. I don't feel like I need to do that because the soil here is very wet anyway, so they'll be fine. It's probably best to do that. As a good practice, it's good to give them a good soak if you've got time to do that. I just want to get them in the ground before it starts raining again. I'm going to choose a spot where there aren't any snowdrops. Now, because it's quite tall, they can go towards the back of the border. That's absolutely fine. And I will give these a water in once I've planted them. So it's not too deep, it's not a very onerous job. I don't really want to. And then I just cover it up again. And I will be mulching all of these. Of course it started raining, so now I'm going to make a run for it, not because I mind the rain, but because my camera doesn't like the rain. So that's it for today. I really hope you've enjoyed learning about toad lilies. If you don't have any in your garden, I highly recommend them, especially if you've got an area that's reliably moist, and especially if you've got a shady area and you want some flowers. Anyway, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you all tomorrow when hopefully it's not raining but the weather forecast doesn't look good. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.